Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, July 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, low humidity. It's going to be beautiful. The high 83 tonight and overnight. A few passing clouds, low 71. Humidity returns on Thursday. Sun and clouds, could be a thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 85. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 65 and clear in Rye up in Westchester. It's 66 and clear in Edison over in New Jersey. And it's 64 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
So why is that Midtown building buckling? President Trump says the memorandum of understanding with Iran is over. City council members make their case for a huge pay raise. A Bronx mom says fake 911 calls are ruining her life. And a heartless homeless man steals a puppy from a strap hanger. All right, let's get into it at 5:04. It is a mess, or at least continues to be outside this building in Midtown. Evacuation frozen zones, they have shrunk a little bit overnight as efforts to stabilize this under construction high-rise in Midtown continue. The installation of temporary shoring began at this high-rise at 42nd Street, right between 2nd and 1st Avenues, after a structural column buckled on the 21st floor yesterday. So the Department of Buildings, they held a press conference last night, and here's the commissioner of that organization.
And if there is any movement, or if we sense any movement, we have protocols in place to make sure we're quickly removing people outside the building to evaluate, but we feel confident in the safety plan that we're working through right now. Right now, I can say right now that the building is stable. It has not moved since we started monitoring it since earlier today.
Yeah, so this whole thing a little frightening because all the buildings here, especially in Midtown, they're right up against each other. So if one starts to buckle a bit, there's always fears that the other could do so as well. So if you weren't following this story yesterday, this Midtown high-rise dramatically evacuated yesterday when these massive beams in the under construction building started to buckle. It prompted several floors to cave in, sent bricks raining down on the street under the crushing strain. 37 commercial story building is at 235 East 42nd, right near 2nd Avenue. It was cleared of all the hard hats. This was yesterday morning when these panicked construction workers spotted these two faulty support beams that were bending. One of them described it bending like a broken cigarette. That's frightening. It was on the 21st and 22nd floors.
It's not supposed to happen.
No.
Columns are not supposed to bend like that.
They're not.
You know? But who knows? You know, I don't know, honestly. What can happen? Anything can happen. I don't know. I've never seen this before, so I can't tell you.
So the terrifying slow motion collapse appeared to stem from ongoing construction involving the addition of 11 floors to this building. So this was the old Pfizer building, if you're familiar with Midtown. The pharma giant used to be in there. And then they were going to add 11 floors to one column. And that's where this building started to fail yesterday. And thank God these construction workers saw that.
I was outside with my guys across the street. Everybody left the building. Everybody was evacuated, and that's it. I haven't been to the building since this morning.
Yes, so one local 638 steam fitter, his name's Cliff Johnson, he's the one who said the I-beams are bending like cigarettes, and that's what set off all the alarms in Midtown yesterday.
Quite terrified. I just work in this building over here, and to see something like this in your own community, it's a bit terrifying to see.
A little shocking, confused. I find that surprising that we're having, in the middle of New York City, an issue about a building collapse.
Yeah, so record show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's surprising.
It is. Records show at least 7 construction safety enforcement violations that were issued by the Department of Building officials for a general contractor at this address last year. They paid more than $30,000 in fines. And now some of that just happens at these building sites. A team of 6 people went into this building yesterday, and they later determined that the contractors on site could move forward with the installation of the temporary shoring, which happened. And then these nearby buildings, initially they were all evacuated, just, people who live in apartment buildings.
I've been out here since 8:30 a.m. or so, and I've been able to get back into my apartment, and I think that whomever owns the building that's responsible for the shoddy construction should be responsible for compensating all these individuals who are going to have to find hotel rooms in the city.
Yeah, again, with these buildings so tightly next to each other, there are fears, of course, if one starts to buckle, the other ones as well, and that's why they did these evacuations.
I was on call, and so I was able to get somebody to cover my shift and come down to grab some clothes and medicine and, try to ride it out.
I was in my office, but my fiance was still in the apartment, so I quickly gave her a call, and she rushed out right away. So they were prioritizing people with pets and medications.
Now, most of these people were able to go home last night. I actually pulled over because it's on my way to work just to see what was happening, talked to a police officer at the site. He said things seem to have gotten better overnight, and he said most of the people in that surrounding area are home today. I'm not sure if the building right next door, I couldn't get confirmation on that, but as soon as I do, of course, I'll pass it on to you. WABC News Time 5:10. While you were sleeping, the mess in the Middle East just getting worse. U.S. Central Command says it launched a series of powerful strikes on Iran in response to those Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says the operation targeted air defense radar sites, anti-ship missile sites, as well as dozens of small boats used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard.
The U.S. military has launched a series of strikes against Iranian targets after 3 merchant ships were struck in the waters of Oman. In a statement posted to social media, U.S. Central Command says American forces launched the strikes to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway, and says that Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Now, the Iranian strikes were on tankers trying to transit the strait via a route Iran apparently had warned ships against using. And then just moments ago, of course, President Trump at the NATO summit in Turkey, the president saying the memorandum of understanding that was signed with Iran to end the conflict, he says it's over. And he says he no longer wants to engage with Tehran. He just said this about 5-10 minutes ago.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Yeah, if you're calling somebody scum, usually things are over. This all taking place as this high-stakes NATO summit's well underway. In fact, they're taking a group picture right now in Turkey. News Nation's Margaret Chadbourne reports that President Trump once again lashing out at that 77-year-old alliance.
If it weren't held in Turkey, where My friend happens to be a very strong leader. It's possible that I wouldn't have attended.
The two-day summit is mostly dominated by discussions on the wars in Iran and Ukraine. With stepped-up Russian bombings, Ukraine's president requested more American-made Patriot missiles. Still, President Trump is pressing NATO allies to do more after many declined to support his military action against Iran or help secure the Strait of Hormuz.
Now, President Trump was set to meet, and I assume this will still happen, with his Ukraine and Syrian counterparts. And in Iran, those funeral services continue for the late supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei. He was killed during the earlier stages of the war with Iran when the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes got underway. Crowds gathering again as the supreme leader's coffin was carried out of a plane. That's some of the mourning in the streets in Iran. Now, initially, we were waiting, the U.S., until this funeral was over to continue with the peace talks. But now, as you heard from the president, he was calling Iran scum. So it sounds like those talks, at least for now, are over. 5:14, let's leave the Middle East, head down to Cuba, where Cuban officials are restoring power to the island nation after the country's national electric grid collapsed on Monday. Now, it hasn't been all better. The outage is not completely over. Some Cubans have power today, others don't. The operators of electricity there say they're trying to get the power to most important places like hospitals, that kind of thing.
The power outages are constant. For example, at my house, there were 41 hours without power. It came back for 5 hours, went out again, and it has been 24 hours without power.
Yeah, so Cubans say the power outage is upsetting every aspect of life, and they say that continues to do so even today.
Entonces, eso 25 hours. And now without power, it makes you feel bad because you practically can't do anything, and it's constant. It's a fuel problem. It's not a problem with the government or with Cuba. It's the fuel that isn't there, and they won't let it in.
All right, so what we've heard this morning is Cuban officials continue to restore power to the island. The national grid collapsed on Monday, one of many times over the last couple months. The outage is the latest blow to Cuba that's already suffering from severe energy, fuel, and medicine shortages, and those continue today as well. In a moment, we'll hear from a search and rescue team just home from Venezuela, helping out after those twin earthquakes. We'll get into that story in just a moment. First, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Wednesday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Start here on the diamond in Tampa. Yankees lost 6-4 in the second game of a 4-game series against the Rays, who extended their AL East lead over the Yanks back to 4 games. New York struck out 17 times against 5 Tampa Bay pitchers and became the first American League team whose batters struck out 17 times in consecutive 9-inning games. They fanned 17 times in that 5-1 win over the Rays on Monday night. Then Rice hit his 26th homer of the season and second in the series to give the Yankees a brief 3-2 lead in the third. He will represent New York in the home run derby on Monday night. Up next for the Yankees, Garrett Cole gets to start in tonight's third game of this 4-game series. First pitch from Tampa Bay is scheduled for 6:40 p.m. In Queens, the Mets lost 16-12 in the opener of a 3-game series against visiting Kansas City Royals. They led 9-4 before yielding 5 runs in the 5th and 7 runs in the 7th. They had been 201 as a franchise heading into last night when scoring 12 or more runs. Up next for the Mets, the middle game of this 3-game series tonight against the Royals. Christian Scott will get the start in what will be a 7:10 p.m. first pitch from Citi Field. Let's head to our World Cup recap from yesterday. A very exciting, nail-biting game between Egypt and Argentina.
I saw that, yeah.
How about that? Egypt.
Did you watch it?
Not much of it. I saw the highlights at the end, which were crazy.
Yeah.
My God. Lionel Messi really playing the hero for Argentina.
He's amazing.
If he wasn't on this team, they would have been out. They would have maybe not even maybe not even made the knockout stages. Yeah. So unbelievable. Incredible. I mean, he scored a record 6th World Cup knockout goal in a knockout match, I should say, in heroic fashion. Egypt were leading the defending champions 2-0 heading into the closing stages before Messi provided an assist for Christian Romero in the 79th minute and a goal of his own 4 minutes later to tie the score. And then it seemed like it was going to go into extra time here, and then Enzo Fernandez headed into the net in the second minute of stoppage time to complete that remarkable comeback for Argentina. So Egypt had their hopes up there for a little bit. Egypt and number one fan Zoran Mamdani thought they were going to pull one out last night. I forgot about that.
No win for Zoran.
No. Argentina and Lionel, they prevail. And in full-time and penalty kicks from Vancouver with Switzerland over Colombia. So Switzerland will meet Argentina.
That's an upset.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah. Colombia is expected to win that.
Never thought Switzerland was going to be a big soccer country.
No.
But there you go.
I have to say, I've quite enjoyed this whole World Cup thing, and I didn't think I would, but they have the 3 o'clock game, they've got the 5 o'clock game.
Right, now it's set up
and
nice.
The 8 o'clock, it's perfect for our schedule. So I've seen so much of it, which I normally, if it was 9 o'clock at night, of course, none of us would see.
Oh, of course. I mean, some of the group stage games, 10 p.m. out in L.A., those were tough. But
these knockout games I like the 3 and 5 o'clock games. That's perfect.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. So looking ahead to tomorrow, they get an off day today. The World Cup teams, 4 p.m. tomorrow in New England. It's that France and Morocco quarterfinal. On Friday, you get Spain and Belgium at 3 p.m. And ahead of Argentina, Switzerland on Saturday night, you get Norway and England, 5 p.m. Saturday night in Miami. Oh, yeah. It's getting exciting now. That is your Sports No Man. I'm Justin Elk on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. A U.S. search and rescue team is home from Venezuela, where those twin earthquakes hit 2 weeks ago. Troy Litchfield's a member of the team. He says he's really proud of the work they did.
Just giving them the hope and comfort, knowing that we did the best that we could, and we saved amazing people, and we did amazing work out there. All of us came together as a team to fight for the families over there.
The team known as USA 2 made up of 71 personnel, 6 K-9 teams, 84,000 pounds of specialized rescue equipment they brought with them. It responded to the pair of deadly earthquakes that struck Venezuela back on June 24th, helping search for victims. The New York Times reporting this morning that this USA 2 team helped save 3 children, one as young as 9 years old, from a collapsed building. And the death toll, unfortunately, those numbers continue to rise. At least 3,535 people killed in this catastrophic twin earthquakes that struck on June 24th. The disaster has also left more than 16,000 injured. In the United Nations reporting today, up to 50,000 individuals remain unaccounted for today. 5:21. Let's bring it back home up to Maine, where U.S. Senate nominee Graham Plattner is still in the mix this morning after he said he was taking time off his campaign amid those sexual assault allegations, something he says that are not true. But the pressure is on from people who had supported him in the past. Many in the Senate, including Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, are calling for him to step aside for a new candidate to come in. News Nation's Marnie Hughes has more.
This is not the first time, though, he is being accused of misconduct. His campaign has been steeped in controversy dating back to October of 2025, when he was first accused of posting inappropriate comments online. He also has been accused of making unsettling comments towards women, having a Nazi tattoo that he then covered up, and being unfaithful in his marriage.
Now, Plattner would have to withdraw from the race by Monday under Maine rules so he could be replaced. The Maine Democratic Party then would have until June 27th to find his replacement. 5:22 over to Utah, where a police agent says the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk in Utah had interacted with members of his group Turning Point USA just hours before Kirk was assassinated. During a week-long evidentiary hearing, David Hall has been describing how someone believed to be Tyler Robinson was seen on surveillance tape.
He heads out of the parking garage on foot into the campus and actually goes to the quad area of the campus. At that time, he makes contact with some representatives from TPUSA.
Now, Hull did not elaborate on what was said between Robinson and members of Kirk's Turning Point USA organization.
I guess cop intuition, but there was something about the interaction that made him make a note of the license plate of the vehicle.
Now, when this hearing's over, the judge set to decide if there's enough evidence against Robinson to proceed to trial for killing Kirk at Utah Valley University last fall. The hearing marks the first time the conservative activist's wife, Erica Kirk, and his parents have been in the same room with the man accused of killing him. 5:24 out to Colorado, where people affected by the Aspen Acres fire in southern Colorado say they're incredibly grateful for donated goods that continue to come in. So many people have lost their homes there. Others waiting, hoping that they'll be able to go back home.
When I got here yesterday, I walked in and I was absolutely flabbergasted because there was all kinds of stuff. It's everything that you you can get that you didn't grab.
One homeowner started crying when she saw that there was pet food for her dog because she says she lost everything in her home.
It's hard. It's very hard. And, we all stick together and we all pray together and just hope that everything works out. And, we pray for the people that have lost stuff and the people that have actually been able to keep their homes because they didn't get burned.
Now, as of last night, and this number is huge, nearly 12,000 people across 4 counties are out of their homes. The fires burned through 93,000 acres, and as of last night, just 15% contained. 525 in L.A. in the Boyle Heights neighborhood. Neighbors were demanding answers from the group called Lineage Logistics. That's the operator of that warehouse that burned for a week last month. There is still rotting food that is stinking up the neighborhood all these weeks later, and people were coming together. They wanted to hear from the operators of this warehouse to find out when this is all going to end, when the cleanup's going to be finished.
This was a really good listening session as another step, and we're working on our next steps to improve communication and move forward.
So this fire started, you might remember, back on June 17th. It destroyed a cold food storage warehouse. Neighbors impacted for days by smoke, and now they've had to deal with, because it took a week to put it out, now they have to deal with the stench of millions of pounds of rotting food in the aftermath. And many in this neighborhood say it has caused headaches, nausea, vomiting.
We left this meeting without real resolve. We are going to make sure that we continue hammering on these commitments, asking for timelines. When are you going to do it? Who's going to do it? And what are the results that we can see?
We are talking about health impacts, environmental impacts, loss of wages and income, and even loss of learning time around the schools in the area. There has to be accountability for this emergency.
Yes, so intense. The food removal demolition process is still going on today. 526, cases of the screwworm in Texas are increasing by the day. And so are some concerns being posted online. Some online have suggested that the flesh-eating fly could taint beef sold in the grocery store. Now, you have Gary Joyner. He's the head of the Texas Farm Bureau. He says that's not possible. Let him explain.
There is some speculation on social that the food safety element of New World screwworm is a concern, but I'm here to tell you, first and foremost, the U.S. food supply is safe.
Now, Gary Joyner says the screwworm feeds on living tissue, so it would not burrow itself into a package of ground beef or a steak, which is frightening to hear.
Spreads only when a fly lays eggs in a wound, not through meat, poultry, or dairy products.
Now, Gary Joyner says down in Texas, they are processing thoroughly these animals before they go to slaughter.
There are safety protocols and inspections in place throughout our food system. It is not a food safety issue.
Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture saying in a statement yesterday that they've upgraded inspections at these food plants all over Texas.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, July 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, low humidity, just a beauty on the way, high 83. Tonight and overnight, a few passing clouds, low 71. And then tomorrow we'll have sun and clouds. The humidity's back, and we'll possibly have some thunderstorms in the afternoon, high 85. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 65 clear in Rye up in Westchester. It's 66 and clear in Edison over in New Jersey. And it's 64 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. New York City health officials trying to calm everybody down on the Upper East Side, calm their fears about this Legionnaires outbreak. There are 23 confirmed cases so far in 3 zip codes that cover the Carnegie Hill, Yorkville, and Lenox Hill neighborhoods. The city says it's testing every cooling tower in the area for the Legionella bacteria. It also says it's taking the step of releasing the addresses of any buildings that test positive during an initial screening process. City Council Speaker Julie Menon says, though, that doesn't go far enough.
I'm concerned that the source hasn't been identified.
I'm concerned that the health department, what I've been pushing for is that they proactively disinfect all the towers. Like, why wait to get the testing results? More and more people are getting sick.
Yeah, she's right about that. Doctors on the alert to test patients with flu or pneumonia-like symptoms. Health officials expect the number of confirmed Legionnaires cases to rise. At least 17 people have ended up in the hospital. In a notice to the two neighborhoods, the department says, the health department, that they believe the likely source of the bacteria is the cooling tower in their area, which sprays a mist that contains the bacteria.
Are we putting people at risk by inviting people from other uninfected neighborhoods to come here? They keep telling me, like, oh, it's not contagious. I'm like, you're not hearing my question.
That's a concerned neighbor. The outbreak was detected late last week in Yorkville and Carnegie Hill, a single square mile area from East 74th to East 96th Street. The patients live in the zip codes 10028, 10128, and 10075. Legionella bacteria can cause a potentially fatal form of pneumonia, but the good news is if you catch it early with antibiotics, you'll be okay. But remember, there was a similar outbreak in Harlem last year that killed 7 and sickened 114 others. 5:43 yesterday was the first meeting talking about city council members getting a pay raise. The mayor would get a pay raise, city comptroller, a whole bunch of other politicos. So imagine trying to decide which member of the city council is going to be the one to go pitch for a salary hike, right? And you do it. Well, it was up to Gail Brewer, the city council member from Manhattan. She was the one who stepped up yesterday during this hearing about pay raises for elected officials, an 18.2% raise. And here's what she said. She said they deserve the raise.
This 10-year gap is the longest that city officials have gone without a raise in the 40 years since the commission's framework has been in place. Over that time, salaries of New York elected officials have failed to keep pace with inflation and with the salaries of elected officials across the country.
So the proposed legislation would boost the mayor's salary to $305,000 a year. That's a bump of $47,000. The city comptroller would go up to $247,000. The public advocate, $218,000. City council speaker, almost $200,000. And the city council members, their salaries would go up to $175,000 a year. The price tag to city taxpayers, $2.6 million in the new fiscal year. Now, some good government groups have been testifying at this hearing. They did yesterday, and they largely support the bill. This is Citizens Union.
1, it attracts stronger candidates. 2, it ensures that we don't only have independently wealthy New Yorkers who are running for office. And 3, it serves as a deterrent against any potential corruption.
All right, so both City Council Speaker Julie Menon, Mayor Mamdani have already said, even if this passes, they don't want to have anything to do with the pay raise.
I leave it to them to make that decision, as well as to the city council in their debate over this legislation. I will not be taking a raise if this legislation passes.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see if that bill passes. In a moment, we'll head up to the Bronx, where this mom says someone keeps calling 911 to her home at all hours of the night. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers. Start out in Tampa. Yankees lost 6-4 in the second game of a 4-game series against the Rays, who extended their AL East lead back over the Yankees to 4 games. New York struck out 17 times against 5 Tampa Bay pitchers and became the first American League team ever whose batters struck out 17 times in consecutive 9-inning games. Up next for the Yankees, Garrett Cole gets a start in tonight's third game of this 4-game set. First pitch from Tampa Bay is scheduled for 6:40 p.m. In Queens. The Mets lost 16-12 in the opener of a 3-game series against the visiting Kansas City Royals. They led 9-4 before yielding 5 runs in the 5th and 7 runs in the 7th. They had been 201 as a franchise heading into last night when scoring 12 or more runs. Up next for the Mets, the middle game of this 3-game series against the Royals. Christian Scott will get to start in what will be a 7:10 p.m. first pitch from Citi Field. A lot of exciting stuff going on in the World Cup yesterday from Atlanta. It was Argentina over Egypt 3-2. Lionel Messi scored in a record 6th straight World Cup knockout match in heroic fashion. Egypt were leading the defending champions 2-0 heading into the closing stages before Messi provided an assist for Christian Romero in the 79th minute and a goal of his own 4 minutes later to tie the score. And
Messi's is an old man by soccer standards.
Oh,
right?
yeah, big time. This is for sure his last World Cup.
What is he, late 30s?
Yeah, at the youngest.
He's incredible. I've watched some of these games. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about soccer, but just watching his feet are like magic.
And he's still better than basically everybody else on the field. So I don't see why not in 4 years he can't play again. But
39.
He's 39.
Right. He'll be 43 in 4 years. And you're seeing all these other guys. Ronaldo saying after he's done with international play. Neymar Jr. saying afterwards he's done with international play. And all of these guys are right up there in that generation with Lionel Messi, even a couple of years younger, I think.
But they're still kicking it. I mean, he can run up and down the field with 19-year-olds, no problem.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Hey, Lionel, it's going to be 4 years from now, 43, and give it one more kick.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, don't rule it out.
Unless they win it, then you got to end on a championship.
That's
right.
true.
You got to win on back. You got to end it on back-to-back World Cup titles.
That would be huge.
If you're Messi, right? And out in Vancouver, Switzerland beat Colombia in penalty kicks, so they will advance to meet Argentina in the quarterfinals come Saturday night. Quarterfinals tomorrow, 4 p.m. France and Morocco on Friday. You'll see Spain and Belgium, and ahead of Argentina and Switzerland on Saturday night, you will see Norway and England at 5 p.m. from Miami. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. Let's head up to the Bronx, where a mom says her and her family living in fear after someone has been repeatedly making false 911 calls to her home, leading police to respond multiple times over the past couple of weeks. Taniska Nunez says the late-night police visits have totally disrupted her life. She has 2 young boys. She's got a dog who gets upset, too. And she's now just completely frightened by the repeated activity by the police who are just knocking at her doors at all hours of the night for 911 calls, things that are not happening inside her home.
I would like to come home and rest. Instead, I'm being woken up in the middle of the night to bang on the door. Police went into my son's room to make sure that they were okay because they said that the 2 kids were fighting. And it was almost 4 a.m.
Now, when they talk about the 2 kids, these are young kids. Nunez says the first calls appeared to be a mistake, but they continue and they've gotten more serious. People calling about stabbings, all kinds of things that were not happening inside the home. But of course, police have to show up and they frighten her kids. She's got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old son.
I felt scared and worried about something happened to my brother.
So in the last couple of days, Nunez says she has posted a sign on her front door that reads, "We have not called 911 for an emergency. We are being pranked." But again, police have to do the job. They don't know if that sign's real, so they have to knock on the door. And a lot of times they've woken up the entire family. They don't know where these calls are coming from.
I have medical problems myself. I have 2 younger kids. The area's not the safest. So let's, God forbid, something else happens. What if they don't get here in time because I keep getting prank called?
Yeah, what an awful thing to do to somebody. Police can't figure out who's making the false 911 calls. Nunez says, I don't know of anybody that has a beef with me that would do something like this. 5:52 out to Long Island, Suffolk County. 3 people facing charges for their alleged involvement in a large-scale mail theft scheme. This is one of those old-school phishing mail things. Have you seen these before, where people go to a postal box with a mouse glue trap and a string, and they, send it down they open up, it usually only works with the older mailboxes. They open up the door of the mailbox, they put it down, and they try to retrieve as much mail as possible with the glue trap, bring it back up. They rifle through the envelopes until they find checks. And then what they do is they use some form of bleach to bleach out whoever the check is to, and then write the check to themselves. Now, in this case, these 3 people have stolen over 6,000 checks totaling about $4.8 million. This is no small scheme. You have the DA out there in Suffolk County, Ray Tierney, saying this is a old school plan, but it's working. They worked until they got caught, I guess.
They wash out the payees, and then they sell them on the internet, and then people put payees' names in them and seek to cash them. So a very old school way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, smart in that they didn't take the checks and cash them all themselves. What they would do is then they would sell these stolen checks on social media. And then you take one and you write whatever amount you can and hope that it goes through. And so they did a warrant. They figured out who these people were. They busted into their homes. One guy was up in the Bronx. I mean, they weren't local people. A search warrant was executed. Police allegedly found thousands of other checks that had not been cashed yet. The firearm, a whole bunch of cash.
This is had a resurgence, and we're seeing it all over. We're seeing it in Suffolk County, and talking to my colleagues, they have it in Nassau, they have it all over.
Yeah, so mail theft for the intent of taking checks and other items of value is an ongoing nationwide problem, but it seems to have these peaks and valleys, and I guess we're at one of those peaks right now. Long Islanders say, I don't ever try to send a check through the mail. I mean, when was the last time you sent through a check through the mail? But sometimes I guess you have to.
Careful with your money. Do things digitally if you can, but even digitally is difficult. The crime itself is ingenious, but, people will find a way to get anything if they want it.
It is kind of ingenious, but, of course, the sending money online is fraught with all kinds of problems as well. And if anybody, by the way, thinks that they've had their check stolen because the DA out in Suffolk County believes there's more cases, he says, give them a holler. 5:55. Gotham Football Club, the soccer club, going to move its home games from the stadium in Harrison, that's the Sports Illustrated Stadium, to Queens. The borough president in Queens, Donovan Richards, says the two-time National Women's Soccer League champs will open the next season next year, in 2028 at this new stadium that will be built for them.
What a tremendous moment this is for young girls across Queens and generations of young girls to come. They will have heroes to idolize right there in their own backyard.
The 25,000-seat stadium expected to open in the spring of next year. Here's the head of Gotham Football Club, Carolyn Tisch.
Etihad Park is where the next chapter of Gotham begins. It's where our supporters will create new matchday rituals. And it's where an entirely new generation of fans will fall in love with Gotham for the very first time.
And we'll end with this story up in Harlem. A Harlem family desperate to find the person who walked out of the 125th Street subway station with their dog. This beloved pup named Lady was stolen on Monday after they had taken the dog on a trip on the subway to the groomer. So McKenna Artis and her daughter say they were walking up the stairs of the subway station at 125th and Lexington Avenue, and they dropped something. So they put the cage down with the dog in it for a moment to pick up this cup that had fallen out. And when they did, they say a homeless man came and grabbed the dog and ran off. And they don't know where he went.
A security guard seen the guy go in the stroller and pick her up, but by the time he put two and two together, he had already ran down the steps of the train station.
So Lady is just, loved by this family. If you have a dog like I do, you know how much a dog is part of the family. To think someone would steal a dog, run off with the little puppy.
I just want my puppy back, please. Yeah. I won't press charges, nothing. I just want her back. I even pay you for her. She doesn't know anything or anybody else.
Yeah, McKenna has spent the last day putting up flyers in this Harlem neighborhood of pictures of the dog, hoping somebody recognizes it. And now she's just desperate. She wants her dog back home again.
My mom, has been through, her fair share, of life. She truly found happiness, baby.
We like Bonnie and Clyde, like best friends. I know she's not eating or drinking or nothing.
Yeah, sad. Let's hope this homeless guy, or they find the dog or the homeless guy. So far, cops tell us no sign of either.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?